starts with a murder, and by the end of Act 3, the body count's climbing, the trust is crumbling, and the only thing holding this bone palace together might be spite and duct tape. Welcome back, skeleton nerds. This is Act 3 of Gideon the Ninth, where things get stranger, sadder, and significantly more full of haunted science labs. If you missed the past videos and analysis, hit pause and either re-watch those by clicking the card on the top right, or check the description below. You can also screenshot the house chart I made so it's easier to remember all the characters and their many, many red flags. You will need this, trust me. Especially because Tamsyn Muir, bless her, never met a confusing detail she didn't want to smother in necromantic Latin. Oh, and these videos are spoiler-free and can be watched as you're going through the book slowly. This is not a summary, it's an exploration. We're digging into the themes, the symbolism, and the prayers you might have skimmed. So when we last left off, Harrow and Gideon had just landed at Canaan House, exchanged enough death glares to power a small planet, and were officially in the running to become lictors. Now, things are not going great. Magnus and Abigail, still dead. And now the necromancer crews are lining up like it's open mic night for ghost summoning. The goal? Call their spirits back to find out who killed them. The result? So much weird, house-specific, borderline, unethical chaos. Palamedes from the 6th house goes full library police mode. He's methodical. He logs everything. He's running a controlled magical autopsy. Isaac and Jeannemary fully fall apart, and it hurts. Because now we realize Magnus and Abigail weren't just fellow contestants in this haunted lictor Olympics. They were the only real parent figures the 4th house kids had. This hits different. They're grieving like actual kids. It's brutal. And Ianthe? Ianthe doesn't summon ghosts. She bites her cavalier. Literally. Hair, nails, skin. Why? Unclear. Is it hot? I'm scared to answer. It's like necromancy meets blood-stained fashion week. Also, why is Ianthe, the cavalier, the one stepping up to this, instead of Coronabeth, the actual necromancer? Odd confidence for someone who's technically supposed to be holding the sword, not running the ritual. But then the 8th house shows up and things go from weird to what? The hell are you doing? Silas, everyone's least favorite religious extremist, straight up starts siphoning his cavalier's soul. Like, it's a free data plan. Column just sits there and fades while Silas starts to light up like a sanctimonious light bulb. That explains why Column's basically a haunted juice box. Even worse. Silas starts leeching energy from everyone else in the room. This dude is like a necromantic black hole, sucking the life out of people like they're charging ports. That's when Abigail's corpse twitches, Dulcinea screams, and in possibly the most satisfying moment of the act, Protesilaus straight up decks Silas in the face. Which we all wanted to do, so thank you for that, sir. So, a few things to unpack here. Because, yeah, technically everyone's a necromancer in this universe. But their approaches? Wildly different. Same energy source, completely different horror mechanics. Let me know if you'd like a detailed overview of how each house uses their necromancy in its unique methods. So, back to the murder mystery. They have all these experts in the room. Why can't anyone summon Magnus and Abigail? Not Harrow, not Palamedes, not even Silas, who, let's be honest, would 100% soul nuke Column just because. Because by now we know that in this universe, death doesn't always mean dead. So the fact that none of the necromancers, spirit magicians included, can bring them back, that's really suspicious. Because it would mean the killer isn't just hiding in plain sight. They're a stronger necromancer than the best of the houses combined. Which makes me think, maybe it's not just a person. Maybe it's a ghost, or something worse. And even Teacher sort of backs that up. He freaks out and says Silas could turn empty people into a nest for something else. Excuse me? A nest? For what? Some kind of evil ghost monster? Because that sounds exactly like the kind of horrifying upgrade we did not ask for. And maybe here's why the fifth house was targeted first. The fifth isn't just any house, they're the spirit magicians. The ones best equipped to talk to the dead. If anyone could have sniffed out a killer from beyond the grave, it would have been Magnus and Abigail. But more than that, the fifth has something the others don't. A deep, almost academic understanding of necromantic rules and boundaries. They know what's possible, and what shouldn't be. So, if you were planning to bend or break the rules of necromancy, the fifth house would see it, and that makes them dangerous. Too dangerous to leave alive. Amid all the new questions and even newer mysteries, we do get one answer. Harrow and Gideon finally crack open the Room X203 mystery. Behind the door, silence, dust, and a room frozen in time. There's a training area, still intact, a living space, undisturbed for who knows how long, a carbine gun, ancient and out of place, a photo with every face scratched out, and then the real horror, a note, 10,000 years old, with Gideon's name on it. That's when it hits. This place wasn't just abandoned. It was sealed, preserved, like someone knew it would matter again. The second house emblem hangs on the wall, proof this was once home to a necrocav duo, and scrawled near the end, the words, "One flesh, one end," signed G and P. Who were they? And how does Gideon's name tie into all this? Because in this book, every detail matters. What's wild is how quiet Harrow gets in this scene. No snark, no superiority, just focus. She's starting to treat Gideon like a partner. Enemies to friends? The arc is arcing. And while we're asking questions, still no sign of Protesilaus. Dulcinea says she sent him into the facility and he just never came back. If you're still not suspicious of this guy, congrats. You'd be the first to die in this murder palace. And in the middle of all that unease, Harrow cracks a joke about Magnus's death. And, for once, Gideon doesn't deflect. She just says it straight. He was nice to me. He didn't have to be. And that's heartbreaking, because no one in her life has ever chosen kindness before. Not like that. Then comes one of the most emotionally intense scenes so far. Harrow says, "I must no longer accept being a stranger to you." And Gideon panics, not because she hates it, but because intimacy terrifies her. It's so foreign. This is someone who's never had a family, never had trust. And suddenly, here's Harrow, asking for it. Gideon says, "I need you to be trustworthy." This is the thesis of their whole relationship, and Harrow doesn't shut down. She asks how to earn it, which, wow, growth. There are two people bound together by the wreckage of their lineage, trying to build something out of ruin. From skull paint orders to emotional trust falls, these two have come a long way. This intimacy is further carried into practice when the next trial kicks off. Dulcinea approaches Harrow and Gideon with a proposition. She's found a challenge she cannot complete on her own. She wants a partnership. If Harrow and Gideon beat the trial, they get to use the key first, then hand it over for her to try. Seems fair? Sounds less like a plea for help, more like a test to me. During this ordeal, Gideon realizes Dulcinea has two keys.
NANI?
So, she's not as helpless as she lets on. She may look like she'll collapse in a breeze, but she's already solved more than anyone. We also find out she offered the deal to Palamedes first, but he refused because he wouldn't siphon souls. That refusal tells us a lot. It's one of the moments where the book starts nudging us to ask, who are these people really behind their house roles and masks? And so far, Palamedes, he's quietly stacking up as one of the only decent people here, which tells us something important. The rules of magic are not universally agreed upon, and ethics? Even less so. Soul siphoning is deeply unethical necromantic behavior in most houses. Just one more reason to hate the eighth house even more. Still, Harrow decides to try the trial with Gideon, but she warns Gideon up front. It's painful, potentially deadly. But Gideon agrees. Why? Because Harrow asked. Enemies to friends. There it is again. They win the trial, barely. Dulcinea thanks Gideon with a deeply sad monologue about echoes and ghosts, and how maybe the real afterlife is being remembered with fury. It's gothic. It's mournful. It's so on brand. As the emotional dust settles, Gideon wakes up to a surprise visitor, Camilla, sent by Harrow on a wellness check. That's how rattled Harrow is. She's outsourcing concern. But there's no time to dwell, because politicking is back on the menu. Coronabeth, in full charm offensive mode, tries to sweet-talk her way into duplicate keys. It doesn't work, but what we learn is more important. Teacher drops the bomb that each key is unique, most have already been claimed, and there are no rules for how you get them. Which means, if you want to duel someone for their key, go for it. No one's going to stop you. And with that, the paper-thin trust in Canaan House takes its last rattling breath. Palamedes refuses to play politics. Instead, he heads to the morgue to figure out how Magnus and Abigail really died. This man has his priorities straight. He finds bone shards from multiple osseous sources in the wounds. So either the killer is someone with access to lots of bone, or someone who can fake it. We also learn a few horrifying tidbits. Silas is targeting Dulcinea, which makes him a prime suspect to be the killer, as he's already keeping an eye out for who the weakest links are. And Dulcie is weak physically, at least, supposedly. The 8th doesn't train cavaliers, they breed them. Column is genetically matched to Silas, and yes, the 8th house is the one screaming about moral purity. Of course it is. Meanwhile, Judith wants to take charge. She asks Palamedes to back her coup. He declines. And then we get a prayer from Teacher that is unsettling. O Emperor of the 9 houses, the 16 gave themselves freely to you. Lord, let nothing happen that you did not anticipate. Who are the 16? My guess is this refers to the original lictors. But what does it mean to give yourself freely? That's not reassuring. That's a man who's watching a volcano and saying, yep, right on schedule. After this, Isaac and Jeannemary find out that someone's dead. Again. Jeannemary is standing guard over a pile of cremated remains of 2 mystery people who apparently died a month ago, before anyone arrived at Canaan House. Let that sink in. People were already dying here before the current cast showed up. That's comforting. Silas, who continues to be everyone's least favorite exorcism-themed party guest, reveals that Dulcinea gave him her keys. Yep, just handed them over. I find that hard to believe. Who knows? But it sets off more paranoia, more power plays, and now Judith of the 2nd house decides it is officially time to pull rank. She demands the 6th hand over their keys. Palamedes refuses. Judith challenges the 6th to a duel. And this fight isn't polite, it's brutal. Or the first time, we get undeniable proof. The 6th isn't just brains. They've got brawn, too. Just because they choose peace doesn't mean they can't win a fight. Right after, Naberius tries to jump the 6th while they're down. But this time, Gideon steps in, and Jeannemary backs her up. Naberius folds. Because of course he does. He's got abs but no backbone. And this tells us everything we need to know about house behavior under pressure. The 6th avoids politics like it's contagious, but when push comes to shove, they don't back down from a fight. The 3rd are dirty players through and through. The 4th and 9th are just pure sweethearts. The 4th because they wear their hearts on their sleeves, and the 9th, well, that's all Gideon. Harrow's still got some emotional homework to do before she earns that badge. But now, finally, we've got something resembling an alliance. The 6th and the 9th. Nerds and goths. An unlikely crew, but honestly, I'd trust them over the rest any day. Our ragtag necro gang is finally taking shape. Palamedes tells them he's cracked almost every challenge, except the one that required soul siphoning. He also believes the 8 tests are parts of a mega-theorem, like, each house developed a necromantic piece of the puzzle, and together they form the true theory of lictorhood. The group splits up. Gideon, Isaac, and Jeannemary go to look for Protesilaus. Camilla and Palamedes stay to guard Dulcinea. Just when you think things can't get darker, Gideon, Isaac, and Jeannemary enter the facility. And not all of them come out. Down in the facility, they find a message in blood. Death to the 4th house. The lights go out. Isaac panics and runs straight into a bone monster. He dies, horribly. Gideon grabs Jeannemary and escapes, but whatever got Isaac gets Jeannemary too. It hits hard, not just because they were the youngest, but because they'd already lost so much. Magnus and Abigail were more than mentors to them. They were safety, a buffer against how awful everything had gotten. And after they died, Isaac and Jeannemary changed. They were quiet. Isaac even started seeing things, shadows in the corners of his vision. Whatever was happening in this house, it was getting to them. But even through all that, they were the ones doing the work. They'd been tracking everyone, paying attention. They knew when Silas went into the facility. They were the ones who found the cremated remains. They were the first to look at this whole mess and think, maybe it's not just monsters, maybe it's someone, and maybe that's why they were targeted. They weren't powerful, they weren't political, but they were observant, and someone didn't like that. And with the fourth silenced, we lose more than just two sweet, overeager teens. We lose the only ones who were genuinely trying to piece together the who in all this. There's so much going on now, but let's pause and see what we know and what we don't. The constructs are lethal. Someone in this bone palace is still a killer, and all keys are accounted for, except one. Silas is still missing. We've lost two of the only people asking the right questions, and what's left is a house full of secrets, and one hell of a narrowing suspect pool. And why is Gideon's name on a 10,000-year-old note? We also see two major themes locking in. Enemies to allies. Gideon and Harrow's relationship is changing. They're still messy, but the trust, it's growing. We are also realizing that everyone is not who they seem to be. Dulcinea's frailty hides real insight. Palamedes' politeness hides a will of steel. Coronabeth's charm masks politics. Ianthe's whole thing is thinly veiled deceit. Even Gideon, the jock, the outsider, the not-a-real necromancer, is starting to show she might be more than just biceps and bad decisions. Her observations are rarely off, and she's finally opening up to Harrow. However codependent this newfound friendship seems, it is still a step forward. Are you convinced about Gideon's change of heart towards Harrow so quickly? Let me know in the comments. I have some feelings about it, which I'll get into some other time. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your takes. As always, drop a like if you like it, and subscribe if you love it. In the next one, we'll talk about Act 4. Let me know what you'd like me to cover, and I'll see you soon. Happy reading.